Sandtroopers.com would like to know, are you surprised Hasbro seems to have gone in reverse in terms with the toys? Are you surprised that you're not seeing more, a bigger emphasis on the Clone Wars line?
Not particularly. I mean, I think, when you look at collectors in general of Star Wars, there's such a legacy of, the live-action cinematic-looking figures. And I think that it was always going to be interesting to see how they responded to any type of animated-style figures. I think it's exciting they've taken some of our characters like Ahsoka and done her in a live-action fashion.
Yes.
And, I'm really excited to see that happen. I think that, it just continues to move us in and say it's just all part of the same big Star Wars franchise. So, whatever decisions they make, I'm sure they're making for sound reasons. I love the work that Hasbro does. Some of the Clone Wars figures that made Kato Parasiti, Serapos have been fantastic figures. I'd love to see more of them, in the future. Totally up to them. I got to get this in for Seth Green, but he's dying for a Lance Razzie figure. So if you want to take up a cause, you guys, you fans got Ben Quadros made. I know how that happens. So
that was Kyle.
Yeah, do Seth a solid and get Lance Razzie made.
We'll make
that would be. He will be forever grateful.
Glenn from WDW Radio for Ashley, actually. We brought up earlier that it's like 34% of the audience is now girls. Your character's headlining that, obviously, in conjunction with everything. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely don't think it's just Ahsoka headlining that, because there's so many strong female characters. I mean, Padme, of course, but Ventress is awesome. Ventress, I just love that character. I mean, it's countless, and I definitely, credit Dave and his team for including so many strong female characters. But I mean, it's something that, of course, I hoped would happen. We've talked about that a lot. I mean, in the very beginning, I remember asking, hey, is this a hope? Was she created to increase the female audience? And I mean, that wasn't really your hope, right? But
no, I just felt pretty strongly, Henry Gilroy and I felt strongly, if we did another young boy character, it's like repeating Anakin and Luke all over again. And we just didn't want to do that. And so we started with a girl. And, I had a young cousin at the time named Ashley, oddly. And, watching her grow up was a big influence on me, and seeing, her kind of challenged in what she liked in stories and stuff. And I thought, well, it'd be great to get a girl with a lightsaber out there. And I found a great girl to carry the lightsaber over here. So I think it's worked out great. You've been an ambassador beyond belief for fans. It's amazing. You're a tiny powerhouse.
thank you.
She gets embarrassed.
Yes,
I made you embarrassed.
I do. But I will say I have personally seen a difference after doing 4 years of Disney Star Wars Weekends, which is such a special event. It's so great for families. And the first year I was there, it was mostly men and boys coming through. Actually, no, the first year I signed autographs. It was mostly men and boys coming through my line. In the past 2 years, it's been mostly moms and daughters and sisters, and it's mostly girls. I would say 80% of my line is girls. And so I don't know their numbers, I just know what comes through my line, and it's really special to see. It's really nice to see that.
Okay, Brian?
So last season you guys brought in the legendary Walter Murch to direct an episode. For season 5, or looking forward, are there any amazing classic legendary directors that you've brought in or would like to bring in? Like if you had the choice to just bring somebody in to direct an episode?
No, there isn't. I mean, we do that at George's request. Actually, it's always a friend of his that comes in, like a Dwayne Dunham or a Bob Dalva, or Walter Murch. It's a wonderful thing for our crew. I mean, Joel can tell you it's an exciting experience for us. But I have 5 killer episodic directors, and it's I like to showcase them. They all do such exceptional work, and you're going to see great work out of them this year. I think they've learned a lot from the greatness around them, and the Walter Murch is coming in, and so they're all highly capable. I mean, Joel, what you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even just having Walter in-house was so educational for us. I really think that right after that Amara episode that we did with him, it's like we learned so much. I mean, that guy was, we try and keep the episodes 22 minutes, and after his first draft of his editorial clip for 3 stories, exactly 22 minutes. I mean, the guy's like a genius. And so, you know, we would pick his brain as much as possible, just hearing him talk, and even just having like 5 minutes with him, waiting for your food in the cafeteria, you walk away like feeling you just had so much information poured all over you. It was very influential to how we were able to accelerate the story.
Now, Mark Hamill's a really good and famous voice actor. Is there any chance we might see him pop up on Clone Wars or any other maybe special guests in the upcoming seasons?
You know, Mark, as you said, he's a huge talent, you know, probably the icon of Star Wars. I wouldn't ask Mark to do anything on the show until I had something that's really awesome and unique. It has to be really special. There have been times when I thought, well, maybe this could be it, but then I thought, nah, it's just not going to have the impact. So, you know, I want to be able to cast Mark in a way that's meaningful to him to come in and perform the role for him. So I've had some near misses where I thought maybe this is it, and then I backed off of it. It's on my mind. It's on my list of things to do. I think it won't happen in season 5, but you know, hopefully before it's all said and done, I will be able to get Mark Hamill back into the Star Wars franchise. But it will be in a way that is unexpected, I'll say that, to make it worth his while, out of respect for him.
For Matt, are there moments where you kind of feel like you would like to more or less act, you know, play the role of Anakin, but more or less like in his darker side, you know what I mean? More or less like Hayden kind of was like in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun for me to be able to do the whole spectrum of Anakin that we're experiencing in the Clone Wars. I mean, I love when the Clone Wars started, he was a little more swashbuckling and innocent and kind of like everybody's hero. So I love that part of him, but, and that's kind of still there, but it's a lot of fun to take him to Revenge of the Sith. It's a fun challenge to accept, to try to smoothly take him that direction. And I think it's pleasing for all of us as fans to see those times where he is like too angry. You're like, whoa, dude, why are you so crazy right now? but that's great because we know what's coming, and it's a blast for me to do that. So no, I don't have like one. I don't like playing this area of him more than this. I mean, I love it all. Yeah, as a fan, I love to see the Dark Lord.
And you kind of had that opportunity a little bit in the Mortis trilogy when he kind of gave himself willingly to the son.
Yeah, well, Mortis was a crazy arc for him. You know, I think he found out a lot about himself and that he might or might not have wanted to even know because maybe he's not ready for that.
Right.
But yeah, it was that was an amazing arc for me to play.
All right, thank you.
How will the 22 episodes of season 5 pan out in terms of storytelling? Will we see them as different arcs as we have previously, and will the story be linear? Can you just explain how?
It's pretty much like previous seasons, except this season they're mainly 4-part arcs. I think the sense of the stories move forward pretty clearly as far as what's happening. So I don't think it's a spoiler to say if you saw the premiere last night, you see that by the end of that episode that we tied directly into last season for once, which we really haven't really done much. We go right into that same story at the beginning of this season, and then at the end of it, Palpatine says, okay, enough with this Maul guy. You know, leave him alone. Get back to your business of fighting the war. And then, so the next corresponding episodes are all pretty much about the Clone War and Onderon. And you're introduced to a bunch of new characters there. Each of these 4-part arcs is basically made that they could just play out as an 88-minute movie if need be. And so that's kind of what you get into that. But when beyond that, each one kind of fits with the other without being implicit. But you get a sense of the time that's passed and where everybody's at, especially off of Ahsoka. Ahsoka's always the thread. You can watch her and tell kind of where we're at based on her emotional attitude towards anything in her experiences. And she changes throughout the season quite a bit depending on what's occurred in the arc. There are also some considerations for timing where we've, say, blown up a base or something, and it remains destroyed. Like you saw in the episode last night, the Mother Talzin's decimated Night Sister clans and zombies were strewn all about the ground still. So we kept that connectivity to the previous season. So we do those things.
So will we see more of Ahsoka throughout season 5? Because obviously, you know, we've had 3 episodes where we haven't seen them at all. So.
She gets about, I would say, her normal share of the work, except that there is a focus on her at a certain point. She's a pretty pivotal character in 2 of the biggest arcs this season, and I don't think that's ever been the case. I think you've always had your kind of one-off, like Wookiee Hunt, Padawan Lost arc that's all about you, but this would be more like 4 parts, and 4 parts later, and so we'll see how that all pans out for you. Sometimes you're just not around, like last night.
Last night?
Yeah, you weren't.
Oh, in the episode. I'm like, what did I miss last night?
Yeah, the whole premiere. There was a whole premiere for Clone Wars last night. We missed
Look at that.
Mostly for Ashley and Matt here. You've been developing these characters, and of course you're developing them alongside the writers, alongside the directors. Is there any, now that you're a few years in, is there any limitation to voice acting that doesn't let you develop or connect with the characters as much as you would if you were playing them in live action?
I mean, for me, I think, aside from the obvious, you don't have props and scenes and other actors to physically interact with, there's not a whole lot of difference, because I think that some of this stuff is beautifully written. I think that some of the character interactions and development by themselves and as a team are, top notch. So, no, when you have good writing and you have amazing story, which is kind of king, it just flows pretty smooth.
Yeah, I think, the big misconception about voice acting is that, voice actors are actors. Sometimes there's a disconnect there, and people don't realize that you have to be a good actor to be a voice actor. And people think that they can just do voices and come on the show. And there's so many talented actors that are part of this cast. I mean, Dee blows me away with his clone episodes. They're unbelievable. I will say in an episode we did in the upcoming season, my heart was like beating out of my chest, and he remembers that. I'm not saying anything. I can really get into it. It's the same. It's the same.
Slippery slope.
You just get emotional.
I'd like to say that with just the limited characters that I've done on this show, I don't know if you guys appreciate the pressure that these 2 actors are under when it comes to fan expectation. And it's Star Wars, right? So we have Anakin Skywalker and his apprentice. So 2 kind of important roles. You don't want to get them wrong.